Welcome to That's Not Cinema, a movie podcast, a reason to talk about movies. I'm your host, Jeffrey Hemingway. Today's movie is Little Women. Boy, I am excited to talk about this movie. I love this movie. Let's just get that out of the way right now. Marty, take it away.
Value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience. And it's not even, I was saying earlier, it's not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else. Not cinema, it's something else.
Okay, so Little Women. Let's get into the info. You know how this goes. Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, produced by Amy Pascal, starring Saoirse Ronan, Timothee Chalamet, Florence Pugh, Emma Watson, Eliza Scanlen, Laura Dern, and Meryl Streep. Runtime of 135 minutes. Released Christmas Day 2019. Released on DVD and streaming April 7, 2020. Studio Sony Pictures. Budget $40 million estimated. Box office of $206 million, which is fucking exciting because movies like this need to make money. So we can keep getting movies like this. And I could keep being excited to talk about movies like this. So that's really good on that budget and that box office for sure. Rotten Tomatoes, which means everything and nothing all at the same time. Critic score of a 95, audience score of a 92. Catch up, audience. What is wrong with you? And let's get into our summary. Jo March, played by Saoirse Ronan, reflects back and forth on her life, telling the beloved story of the March sisters, 4 young women, each determined to live life on their own terms. My expectations for this movie. So, I try and go into movies pretty tempered, but I couldn't help but be excited for this. Especially coming off of Lady Bird for Greta Gerwig. And, well, first being introduced to Greta Gerwig in Frances Ha, Noah Baumbach's film. And then from that, seeing she was making her first feature and it being Lady Bird, starring Saoirse Ronan, starring Timothee Chalamet, and loving that movie. Such an amazing movie. We'll eventually do Lady Bird on this as well. Lady Bird is, that's one of them right there. I'm a sucker for a coming of age, story, and Lady Bird is definitely that. And so coming off of that and loving that, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever she's got next, let me see it. I want to see it. And so word came around, it'd be Little Women, this remade story that's been told a few times. But Greta would be giving her crack at it, and that was pretty exciting. Obviously, again, coming off of what I know from Lady Bird and loving that. Okay, I was like, I want to see her spin to it. Plus, I didn't know about the previous Little Women features. I'm sure I had heard about them, but I not enough to make me want to go and watch them. I know there was a 94 version and then on and on and on, as you go back, there's been, multiple versions of this film. But for me, what hooked me in was Greta Gerwig. And then on top of that, you add in the cast in Saoirse Ronan and then in Timothee Chalamet coming back from Lady Bird, as I just said. And then you add in Emma Watson, who I adore. And then you add in Florence Pugh, who I am in love with. And Eliza Scanlen and Laura Dern and Meryl Streep. And the cast is just how do you not? You know what I mean? Okay, so the cast is on point and we're getting Greta on her second feature. And yet, yeah, it was a period piece. So that tempered me maybe a bit because, the costume dramas aren't what I'm so used to or what I'm oh yeah, I got to dive into that, But again, on paper with that cast, honestly, didn't really matter what it was about. So that had me hooked. That had me in. I had to see it after that. And so I got my tickets for opening day like it was a fucking Marvel movie. And I think I mentioned this in my Uncut Gems review. I saw Uncut Gems Christmas Eve and I saw Little Women Christmas morning. So I was excited to see it, obviously. And those were the last two. I was trying to finish up my top 10 list, but there's no way I was going to dare make a top 10 list without have seen Uncut Gems and without have seen Little Women. So obviously they were coming out the end of the year, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. So I had to wait. But I was excited, and I could not wait to go Christmas morning. After just coming home late from watching Uncut Gems, I woke right back up and took my ass back to the theater and sat there and enjoyed the hell out of Little Women. That's the scene. I skipped out on the chicken tenders and the icy. It was early and I was going to eat later anyway, but so I didn't get that, but I didn't need it to enjoy this film. And it was a fairly packed theater, I'd say, probably about 20-25 people in there, including me. So, typically I like my theaters empty. I like it to look like the screen is just playing for me. But I didn't mind it, and I had my favorite seat, and everybody was pretty spread out. So it still felt like it was just for me. Like they turned on the projector just for me. So, the theater experience was pretty cool. And there were definitely some moments that you could, enjoy some not commentary, but like some, communal, experiencing with, in this movie for sure. So, so that's scene being set. So as soon as I get out that theater, obviously, we get into my tweet review. So, my tweet review said, set in a period that feels so long ago, Greta Gerwig makes Little Women feel present and vibrant with outstanding performances from Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh, and Timothee Chalamet. Sign me up for whatever Gerwig's got next. I'll take more of that, please. So, yeah, as you can hear, clearly, I loved this movie. And yeah, whatever Gerwig's third feature will be, I'm in all the way. Give me, if they're just going to continue to be more Ladybirds and more Little Women's from Greta Gerwig, like, sign me up ASAP. I love this movie. Really, really, really love this movie. So obviously that leads me into my overall thoughts. So, period piece costume drama movies are hard sometimes to get audiences' attention. And as I mentioned before, even for me, like they're not the ones I'm like outwardly searching for. Like I'm not like, where's the next period piece costume drama? I need to watch that. Like, it's not really what I tend to go for. But again, like I said earlier, with a cast like that and with Greta Gerwig and it being her second feature, I wanted to see how she followed up Lady Bird, and I was going to head in no matter what, and for Greta to have such a fresh take on Little Women, which honestly my first time seeing, because as I mentioned, I hadn't seen any of the previous or prior incarnations of Little Women. I wasn't really aware. I know it's a book and it's a whole thing, and it's apparently there's been a bunch of them or whatever. The only one I was seemingly familiar with was the 94 version, but I didn't watch it or anything. And I really only heard that leading up to the movie and then hearing who was starring in it. And I was like, oh, okay, that kind of sounds familiar. I think I've seen something of it, but whatever. So with it being made a handful of times and her being able to put her own stamp on it, you know what I mean? And being able to capture such a modern feel was remarkable to even experience in the theater. And I'm pretty positive I wasn't the target audience for this film, being a young black man in South Florida. I don't think I was like, we got to make Little Women for that guy. That's kind of probably not what they were aiming for. But hey, they had my ticket purchased either way. So, but I was in, but regardless of that, I fucking love this movie, man. I loved everything about it, from the performances to the dialogue, to the chemistry between the actors. Just, man, to the set design, to the costume drama-ness of it, right? To the period piece-ness of it. I loved everything about it. Everything about this movie. I couldn't wait to watch this movie again as soon as I left the theater. I got a very same feeling while watching Lady Bird. Like, it ended and I was like, oh, I gotta see that again. You know, it was just like, I gotta watch that again. Man, that was good. Like, I cared about the characters and the story and the relationships and the fights and the lives lost and gained and just every little piece of this movie, man. You know, I just wanted to continue to see how these people progressed and how they continued through life and the world that Greta was able to create for these characters. Like, I just wanted to, like, obviously you get to the end and life kind of goes on and they built a school and the family's all together and you just kind of like, it's like, no, don't go off. Just stay on. I just want to see where you guys go from here. Like, how is life after this? You know, what's Little Women 2? You know, I don't need a sequel, but you know what I mean? That, like, it gave me that such a feeling. Like, I just wanted to stay with these people and this family and continue on with them and seeing how this all, you know, progressed down the line. So overall, loved it. I loved it. If you can't tell, just to make it clear, it doesn't sound like I'm rambling. I loved it. Friggin' loved it. Okay, so now we can get into our best moments. And usually I'd have runner-ups for this one, but for this one, I only have one answer. And I think it is the best moment, because we'll get into other parts of the film, obviously, as we go down the categories. But for me, the best moment was Jo's negotiation and watching her book being made for the first time.
You keep your $500 and I'll keep the copyright. Also, I want 10% of royalties.
5.5%. That's very generous.
9%.
6%, and that's it.
Mr. Dashwood, if I'm going to sell my heroin into marriage for money, I might as well get some of it.
6.6%.
Done.
And you don't need to decide about the copyright right now.
No, I've decided. I want to own my own book.
I thought for Jo to accept that the writings were hers, take that accountability, fight for what was hers and owning 100% of her copyright, and then being able to watch the actual manifestation of the book being created and then get handed a physical copy of something she created with her own words and her own thoughts, I think was a perfect representation of everything she was essentially fighting for throughout the movie, right? Like, I think she was trying to find this journey throughout it, or continue to discover this journey throughout the movie and it got to the point where she loved writing at one point, got some critiques, fell back, stopped it for a bit, but then finally got back to it, you know, because it was obviously something she loved to do. And so to get to that point where you're at the beginning of the movie and, you know, hey, my friend has these writings and I came to get them in. Like, she didn't want to accept that she had wrote these words, that these were her thoughts and these were her stories. And then to get to the end after we've seen her progression and seen her growth, you know, flashing back and forth throughout the movie to the end where she's like, no, 100% of my copyright. Give me that. You know what I mean? I need all that. You know what I'm saying? And if I made it, I want to own it. And own it in multiple ways, right? If I made it, I want to own it literally and physically. And then if I made it, I want to own that I wrote these words. Like, these are mine. Put my name on it. You know what I mean? So I think that was the best moment of the film, because it just kind of, in a nice little neat bow, just wrapped up the entire film. Like, this is what she was fighting for the entire time. And for her to accept accountability for it, take ownership of it, and all aspects of it was perfect. So that for me was the best moment, and I didn't even have any other runner-ups for that. That was just it. That was the best moment of the film for me. Okay, so now we'll get into favorite scenes, and I had a couple. So I don't even know if I have a full on answer for what my favorite scenes are, but I'm gonna list them. So because I only had one answer for best moment, I went a little crazy here. Okay, so for one of my favorite scenes was Frederick critiques Joe's writing.
You know, I don't like them. Honestly, I mean, I think that they're not good.
But they're published in the papers, and people have always said that I'm talented.
Oh, I think you're talented, which is why I'm being so blunt.
And that part was good for me because clearly she'd been writing these for her family, and even if they didn't like them, they wouldn't tell her that. You know what I mean? Like, I think they just appreciated that she was expressing her art. And then obviously, even from the ones who may have not liked, maybe Amy maybe would have critiqued it, but it's like, that's my sister, that's Amy, she's a hater. You know what I mean? So you don't really take too much account for it. But clearly, like Frederick, she, at least I think, respected in a sense, and that he was a professor and like, that he was curious and wanted to actually read her writings. She thought she would get the same feeling she would get and the same critique she would get from her family. And instead he was just straight up like, nah, I don't like this. Is it always like this? Do you have to write it this way? Could you do better? You know what I mean? Like, he was just straight blunt, but he was being honest about it. Right. And I think, you want that honest, you want that honest critique. Yeah, it's tough to hear a lot of times. And there'll be moments, and you'll react how Joe reacted, where she was just like, fuck you, dude. You asked me to read my works and then you just come in here and shit on it. Obviously you feel like that in the moment when you get those harsh critiques, but it only makes you better, even though it's hard to hear, so I really love that exchange between those two and kind of coming back and forth with the whole, again, it was just kind of more of a wake up call, and it wasn't for her to stop writing. It was like, no, you're talented. You know what I mean? But I think you can do better and you can write better stories, and she needed to hear that. And obviously, and that brings us to the best moment when she writes her ultimate story, essentially, and she's able to sell it, So Frederick critiques Joe. I love that scene. And then we get Joe and Laurie meet and dance together.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know anyone was here.
Not at all. Stay if you'd like.
I won't disturb you.
No, I don't know many people here. I felt rather strange at first,
So do I.
Miss March, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Lawrence, but I'm not Miss March. I'm only Joe.
And I'm not Mr. Lawrence. I'm only Laurie.
Don't you dance?
I don't know how you do things here yet. You see, I've spent most of my life in Europe.
Europe? Oh, that's capital!
That scene in particular, obviously Joe's at the party. She's not really feeling it. And she don't really want to be here, but she's there to support her sister. And then she also burnt her dress, so she couldn't even be out there, like dancing like that. As she ends up explaining to Laurie when she hides from the one dude who's trying to give her the head nod, like, hey, let's hit the dance floor. And she's like, ugh, no, hard pass, no. So she ends up in this room, and here and beholds our entrance to Mr. Timothee Chalamet, and he's so fucking wonderful. And they have their little back and forth, and it's great from the jump. You can tell there's a little bit of chemistry, and she's just so honest, She's just like, it's almost like a diarrhea of the mouth. She kind of just can't not say how she's feeling on her brain, right? It just all comes out. But she opens up to him and tells him that her dress is burnt, and he was like, "Well, I got an idea. We could dance, but we can dance outside, and that their whole, honestly, their chemistry, coming from Lady Bird, obviously, and then, within this movie, and just their whole interactions in between the windows, how they'll stop and slyly pass by and then dance and go crazy. You know what I mean? I just love those moments together in their interaction together between those two was really, really, really awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. So then next scene for me would be Joe confronts Amy about burning her stories.
Amy, you've got it.
No, I haven't.
That's a lie.
No, it isn't. I haven't got it. I don't know where it is, and I don't...
Tell me. Thank you.
Who burnt it up? Marvin! I burnt your book. I told you I'd make you pay, and I did!
And this was the pivotal moment, right? Because Amy felt really hurt. She really wanted to hang out with her sisters. And, Amy was like, she wanted to grow up faster than she was, and like most kids, especially when you have older siblings, you want to do what your older siblings are doing. And Emma Watson's character was a little bit more gentle about the dismissal of it, or the rejection, I should say, of not going to the dance or the party with them, wherever they were headed. But Joe was just like, Saoirse's character, she was just like, nah, fam, you ain't going. You're annoying. You're always trying to tag along. Just like dressing her down. And then, so, you get the revenge factor in Florence Pugh. She's so good at, and we'll get into her performances later, but so good at, because they're playing different ages, so good at playing just the adolescent, little sister, bratty little sister. And it was just perfect. And her taking the papers and slowly maniacally burning them, watching them slowly burn away. And then just that moment where she's just like, nothing's happening. And yeah, I burned your fucking paper. You know what I mean? She didn't say fucking, but like, you know what I mean? Like it was the venom was dripping off of her mouth. And she was like, yeah, I burned him and you deserved it. And I told you I would get you back, and then the fight ensues, and it was just like, man. And then even the after fact with the regret instantly from Amy, from Florence's character. And just like, I didn't know they meant so much to you. You really hurt me, and I really wanted to get you back. And just that whole scene in itself was just, that's another one of those, just like the sisters talking and fighting and siblings arguing, and, that whole thing. It was great. That was another favorite scene of mine. And then another favorite scene, which is one that stuck out to me, really big when I first saw, like, in the theater. I was like, whoa. I was like, oh, okay, we're watching a movie. Like that, that's what I said in the theater, right? And this scene is Amy and Laurie's fight at the ball.
Amy, please. Amy.
Do you want to know what I honestly think of you?
What do you honestly think?
I despise you.
Why do you despise me?
Because with every chance of being good, happy, and useful, you are lazy, faulty, and miserable.
Interesting.
Yes, well, selfish people do like to talk
Am
about
I
them.
selfish?
Yes, very selfish. With your money, talent, beauty, and health.
Ooh, you think I'm beautiful.
Yes, you like that, you old vanity. With all these good things to enjoy, you can find nothing to do but dawdle.
I'll be good for you, Saint Amy. I'll be good.
Aren't you ashamed of a hand like that?
No, I'm not.
Looks like it's never done a day of work in its life, and that ring is ridiculous.
Joe gave me this ring.
I feel sorry for you, I really do. I just wish you'd bear it better.
You don't have to feel sorry for me, Amy. You'll feel the same way one day.
No, I'd be respected if I couldn't be loved.
What have you done lately, oh great artiste? Perhaps you're fantasizing about spending Fred Vaughn's fortune. Fred Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen!
And at this point, this is earlier in the movie, it's probably 20 minutes into the movie. You don't know the relationship between, or you don't know the relationship between Laurie and Amy. Like, they know each other, but you don't know the details within it. Obviously, you learn that as the story progresses. And so you get this little snapshot of, them kind of in the future almost, I guess. before you get any backstory on what their relationship is. And then their whole back and forth and Florence just delivering it with such content in her voice and just like, and Timothy, Laurie's just like nonchalant, just not even like, what's any of this worth? Who cares? Whatever. You're here to judge me, or what are you here just to, go off and marry some fucking, the Fred Vaughn, Fred Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen, and then I tweeted this on the rewatch, but he yells Fred Vaughn, he throws the wine in the air, and does that little that pirouette away. It was just so fucking perfect. And I started to realize he spun a lot in this movie. Like, if you just pay attention to Timothee Chalamet, when you go back in the rewatch of this, go back and just watch every time in any conversation, and Timothee Chalamet will spin away. And it's just so fucking perfect. But it just, in that moment, man, just the whole kind of swagger he had, the demeanor he had, and the embarrassment he had caused to Amy in that moment. Obviously she's trying to, present herself to Fred Vaughn and whatnot. And they're just like, you can just within that conversation, you can tell they had history and underlying feelings, for each other in the moment. Obviously we will get revealed to more of those feelings, but again, this is 15, 20 minutes into the movie. You don't fully know what those feelings are just yet. And it's just like, man, you're just like, whoa, like they're going back and forth. Clearly they have chemistry. Clearly they're angry at each other. And it just, man, just to land the dismount of the pirouette away. And it's just like, Fred Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen, was amazing. Just, I loved it. I loved it. It's probably my answer for this. I'm giving just a list of scenes, but it's probably my answer for this. Well, no, see, now I'm looking at my list and now I look at the next, Laurie. So my next favorite scene, Laurie declares his love for Joe.
You don't have to stay here, Joe.
Why should we run off and join a pirate ship? No.
It's no use, Joe.
Please
Joe, we've
don't.
got to have it out.
No,
I have loved
hey.
you ever since I've known you, Joe. I couldn't help it. And I tried to show and you wouldn't let me, which is fine.
No.
But I must make you here now and give me an answer because I cannot go on like this any longer. I gave up billiards. I gave up everything you didn't like. I'm happy I did. It's fine. And I waited and I never complained because I figured you'd love me, Joe.
This scene, man, like, like you want, this is kind of one of those scenes, like, this is what you do in the audition room, I guess. I would assume. I don't fucking know. But like, this is like what like, do this back and forth. Do the declare of love scene, from Little Women. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of that scene right there. And just Timothy just so achingly like, I fucking love you, man. Just love me, just love me. And she just can't, at least she can't in the way he wants to. Right. And then, Joe just again, being so honest, she can't help but be so honest. And just like, I don't know. Like, I can't love you. We're going to fight all the time. Like, I just, man, it was just there again, they're back and forth. And then honestly, the way Greta shot the whole fucking thing was just like, the camera's panning over and they're on this fucking hill and you can see down to the bottom and it's sweeping and it's just like, I'm just like, whoa, this scene, man, is just, whoa, and just everything about this scene, man, was just like, dude, like, man, like, you're confessing your love to someone and they just can't give it to you. That unrequited, you do everything in your power for them to love you, and it's just ain't there, and it just ain't there. And then just that confession, and that confession of that love, and then the confession of the I don't love you back like that, just like, man, yeah, what a scene, honestly, what a scene. But I think my favorite scene, I think I'm going to call this my answer here, at least because it's the way I listed it. Laurie asks Amy not to marry Fred Vaughn.
Don't marry him.
What?
Don't marry him.
Why?
Why? You know why.
No. No.
Yes.
No. Lori.
What?
You're being mean.
What?
Stop
How am I
it.
being
Stop
mean?
it. I have been second to Joe my whole life in everything. And I will not be the person you settle for just because you cannot have her. I won't do it. I won't, not when I've spent my entire life loving you.
And I think what I loved about this scene, and obviously you can see a bit of a pattern here. A lot of these have to feature Timothee Chalamet, but most of the, a couple of them are Timothy and Florence together. I just loved I loved their chemistry together, and the moment, and man, there were such subtle moments within this scene here, and Florence's reaction to just like, no, that's not fucking fair. You're being mean. Don't do that. And you're just like, oh man, you know what I mean? And again, it calls back to that first real, butting heads they had at the ball. And so now you're getting the backstory to what that was back then, to what that was then when you see it earlier in the movie. And now you're like, oh man, and the whole reveal of her, loving him since forever in the whole sibling, hierarchy of just coming second to Joe. And she just didn't want to do it just because you can't have her, and it was, oh man, it was just, man, honestly, it was just the subtle, it's quite, a little small, quiet moments, right? And she's like, you're being mean. And he's like, no, I'm not being mean. What do you mean? And then no, the shaking of the head, everything in that scene is just like, oh my God, their chemistry was so palpable, man. It was so palpable. It jumped off the screen with them two together. It just, I loved it. Loved it. That's my favorite scene. That's my favorite scene. It's not as big and grand as the Laurie's declaring his love for Joe, but it's a smaller, maybe more quieter, maybe more subtler, scene that I just adored just watching it, and just like, oh man, like, yeah, this is, the performances here, the writing here, just all of it, man. So that's my answer. Laurie asked Amy not to marry Fred Vaughn for favorite scene. So we came to an answer. I don't know if we did. I just wrote a bunch of scenes down. It was just like, I guess I'll figure it out when I turn the mic on. So, but we got to it. We finally got to it. Okay. So now for favorite lines, because I loved so much of this movie, man. There are lines that also represent some scenes, and that I just like, I won't be able to answer it here, so I'll put it here just so I can talk about it, because I just want to talk about it. Okay, so, there's a couple lines. I feel like a lot of my lines are from, now that I'm looking at it, a lot of my lines are from Amy. I just love Florence Pugh in this movie. So we got one. So first, I guess, runner up would be Amy saying, I want to be great or nothing.
I want to be great or nothing, and I will not be some commonplace dauber, and I don't intend to try anymore.
And I just love the honesty of it, the harshness of it too, but the self-awareness of it. Like I know I'm good, but I'm not as good as I want to be. And if I can't be as good as I want to be, then I don't want any of it. And I just really love that. I just really love that line. And then Amy comes back with another one. Amy had all the bars in this movie. I mean, well, props to Greta, but we'll get to that. Amy, comes back with another one.
No, I'd be respected if I couldn't be loved.
And just, I can relate to that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Just like, like love is complicated, you know, and respect has to be earned. And you know, sometimes you get in relationships where you love people and don't truly respect them. And that's just kind of one of those balances. You got to kind of try and figure it out, you know, if you're willing to stick out something. And if the love wasn't going to come the way you wanted it to, at the very least, you could be respected and just Amy coming with the heat. And then I got one from Lori. Lori says,
Short answer is save trouble.
I just love the simplicity of it. you know what I mean? And that's totally me. A lot of these lines are like things I can relate to. Like that's, like, you know, someone asking you if you're okay, and you just give them a short answer. Cause like, I could get into my issues. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think everyone's been there where it's like, someone's like, hey, how you doing? Like, are you okay? And it's like, you don't really give a fuck. And even if you do, I don't really have the time to give you all this. And this is just going to open a whole nother can of worms if we get into everything that's wrong with me right now in this moment. So, you know, short answer, save trouble. You know, short answer, save trouble from Lori. Okay. And so and then Joe had a good one here where she was like, I've had lots of troubles, so I write jolly tales, you know? And that was just, I just thought that was so brilliant because and again in its simplicity, but it's so like, we all have that, you know, whether we're creating it as an escape or we're reading the escape or watching movies as an escape, you know, your life is your life and you deal with all the shit you got to deal with in it. And if you've had a lot of troubles within that, you know, you try to express it or experience it through other things or try and escape it, I should say, in other ways. And, you know, I felt like that really summed up Joe, honestly. Like she grew up poor and, you know, family members dying and things like that. And so she writes these jolly tales to kind of escape from that. And I just kind of truly appreciated that. And then, you know, Amy, this is my favorite line. And it's a couple lines, but Amy's whole speech to, Lori when she's explaining to him that marriage is an economic proposition for her.
Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, there's no way for me to make my own money. Not enough to earn a living or to support my family. And if I had my own money, which I don't, that money would belong to my husband the moment we got married. And if we had children, they would be his, not mine. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me.
You know, and just, I mean, everything. Just like, I'm just sitting in the theater like, fuck. I get it. You know what I mean? It's obviously set in a period of time where that was the norm. And even honestly, to this day, there's probably still some norms there, even though there's more of a chance for women to break out of that. Thankfully, we can go a lot further, for sure. But, you know, especially back in that time, it was just like, man, there wasn't shit you could do. You know what I mean? If you're a woman, it's just like everything's tailored and tied to, you know, and then obviously she broke it down, you know, and I just love the way I also just love how matter of fact she was with it. Right. It's like, so don't sit there and tell me that marriage is an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me, you know? And it's just like, nah, dude, like I gotta let you know what's up right now. You know what I mean? Like, you're coming from a place of privilege in this sense, and you're not fully understanding what's happening here. So you may not agree and may not like my decisions and what I'm doing, and may not like that I'm giving up my art. But like, these are the tough decisions I gotta make because of the situation that I'm in this world as a woman, you know? And I just love, and her delivery of that, again, we'll get into her performance, but just she was great. And so, like, obviously I had a lot of lines from Amy. I thought Florence Pugh was amazing. So everyone's amazing in this, but, you know, Florence Pugh is just on another level for me. So that's my favorite line of the movie. So since, as I said, we were going to get into the performances, I mean, the entire cast is, you know, amazing. Like that's the entire cast is amazing. So, but some standouts, obviously for me, Saoirse Ronan, man. I mean, Saoirse is special, dude. For, you know, she started really young and she's still young. Like, I feel old. Like, I'm 29 and Saoirse Ronan, like, just turned 25, like, as of the recording of this podcast. I think it was, like, last week, actually. I think she turned 25 or whatever. But, like, man, like, but for her to be nominated, how many fucking times at this point for Oscars and to only be 25, like, she's got so much more to do and so much more great stuff to give us. And she's given us so much great stuff already, this early, you know, in her career. But man, she's the lead of this movie and she delivers, you know. I loved her in Lady Bird and I loved her here. You know, I thought she was rebellious and forthcoming and just honest, you know, and her approach to life and obviously as the character Jo and everything. And I just thought she delivered. Cause she was the main one everyone essentially had to play off of and react to and react from. And so she had to deliver such a quality performance. You know, she's just brilliant. Honestly, she's just brilliant. And to be so young, like, it's like, I'm amazed. Like, I feel like I'm stammering on my words, but like, I'm just thinking about like, yeah, Saoirse fucking Ronan, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So runner up to Saoirse is Timothee Chalamet, another fucking, I mean, all these people are younger than me and I feel so old and not so accomplished. But Timothee Chalamet, man, every time he was on screen, dude, every time he was on screen, it was just like, this guy. Like, even to small things, like, again, I like on my like fourth rewatch of Little Women, I'm just noticing the spins he get, you know, the pirouettes, the spinaways he was giving in the movie, like, to notice something that small and but for it to catch your eye just because of just what kind of a performer he is. And man, and his ability to just have like such great chemistry with like everyone. There's even a moment he has with Emma Watson that's great as well. You know, it's just like how do you just have chemistry with everybody, dude? Like, just like, come on. like what is happening here? Like, how are you doing this? You know, so, but he was, man, yeah, he was amazing. He was honestly, he was amazing. He was such a bright spot. Amongst the bright spots, you know, in this movie. And I loved every second of him in it. I just wanted to see more. Like, there are moments, there are just random days I wake up and I'm just like, yeah, fucking Timothee Chalamet in Little Women, man, it's just fucking amazing. You know, just a random thought like that. And I'm just like, fuck, like, fucking Timothee Chalamet, dude. Just like, damn. You know, and you know, we know his track record as well. So, you know, it's just like, I can't wait to see more of what he does, and same with Saoirse, and it's 100-fold with this next person, and who was my favorite performance in this movie. Florence Pugh, as I said earlier, I'm in love with this woman, and man, she's just a fucking hurricane coming through a screen, dude. She is just like, dude, I mean, she, I think she also did, Midsommar this year, and she did Fighting with My Family, which I adored all three of these performances and thought she was amazing in all three of these performances. Man, I shouldn't be at a loss for words for Florence Pugh, but I'm at a loss for words for Florence Pugh. I thought her ability to, I think now all of the women in this movie had to play different ages, but I think Florence had a certain ability, man, to, like, you could really, really tell when she was the younger version of herself, and then to where she was the adult version of herself, and the nuances between each of those, you know, versions that she presented, you know, just like, I mean, like, I'd imagine that shit's just hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like it just takes such a talent to be able to do that. I mean, again, from the moment where she's burning the book and and then or the moment where she's just letting Laurie know, like, hey man, like this is what's up. Like, I'm not that little girl, you know, you used to come over and see. And we used to want to try and tag along. Like, nah, marriage is an economic proposition for me. And listen to me as I fucking tell you this shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like all in the same movie for her to be the bratty sister, to her to grow up and be this woman who knows what she wants and knows what she has to do in life and knows how she's going to navigate it. And just her ability to navigate that through the movie. And her to perform that at so many different levels. You know, she had a bunch of my favorite scenes and a bunch of my favorite lines. And I just, and her and Timothee together were just so great. We're just so great. And I wanted more of Florence Pugh in this movie. And she was in it, not to say that she wasn't in it enough, but give me more Amy, give me more Florence Pugh's Amy, you know, and give me her with everybody. She had a similar thing with Timothee where her chemistry with Timothee and then her chemistry with Saoirse it was great. It was just great. Honestly, it truly was. But again, all the performances, Laura Dern, you know, playing Marmee, Meryl Streep was small part, but you know, Meryl's gonna Meryl, and she just comes through and, you know, just hits you with a couple lines here and there. You know what I mean? I love the line that she gives you of,
I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
You know, but that just perfectly delivered, just on time, just fucking Meryl Streep. Just Meryl Streep, man. She's amazing. Even Bob Odenkirk gets a little part in here as well. You know, Emma Watson, Eliza Scanlen, just, you know, all the sisters together, as a group, their chemistry, their camaraderie, their rapport they all had with each other, was excellent. And you could just feel it coming off the screen. It gave it such a feel good, homey, especially if you've got siblings, you know, like you felt it when they were all together and going through what they were going through and spending time with each other and just kind of, you know, it was great. All performances across the board, just those three. And then Florence Pugh was just on another level. So obviously with all the praise, as always, comes a little bit of critique. And I thought this movie is fucking perfect. And I love it so much. But my least favorite part of the film, okay? When Frederick leaves for California and the family instantly jumps to the conclusion that Joe is in love, I thought that was pretty quick. Like, I was like, wait, he just spent dinner with you guys. I don't think this means love. Like, they had a few months in New York together. Like love? Like, that's where we are? Like love. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, like they spent some time she spent some time with him with New York. Like, you know, it didn't really seem like they spent a lot of time with each other. Like, even when they were at the same play, they weren't even sitting with each other, and they ended up at the same party. and they weren't really hanging out with each other. He was kind of just like watching her and stalking her a bit, you know what I mean? So like to make the leap to Joe's in love because she was happy about Frederick visiting, I just thought was just like, I don't know, like this is quick, you know. I just think I may have preferred it to. Now I guess you can make the argument that it kind of paired with the negotiation part at the end of the movie where he's like, oh, she needs to be married. And then they're like, no, the whole time she didn't want to get married, so why would she get married? And then he's like, nope, it won't sell, it needs to be married. And then, you know, you cut back to the movie and then she's, you know, in love and chasing them at the train station. And I was just like, I guess I don't mind the chasing to the train station or whatever, but I guess just the large leap to Joe's in love, I was like, nah. If a simple change of just like, and not to critique Greta Gerwig because she's fucking phenomenal, you like him, you know what I mean? I think I would have felt so much better if it was just been like, you like him, just to, hey, we had a nice dinner, you've met my family and everybody seems to like you, you're in love. Like, what? That was fast, you know. And it almost felt a little bit out of character that she was all of a sudden in love. And after she just figured out that her fucking little sister was marrying Laurie, the one who she rejected, and then all of a sudden wanted to take back again. Like, and then this dude knocks on the door and like, love? I was just like, no, I love this movie, but I don't love that. I was like, no, I don't love that. But that's again, that doesn't ruin the movie for me at all. But you know, just you know, there's got to be a little bit of least favorite part. Then that was it. That was it. Just change love to like, and we gotta, you know, we're off running. We're off and running. So, who won the movie? I asked the person we haven't spoke about too much so far here today. Greta Gerwig. I think Greta Gerwig easily won the movie for me. For her being able to take this often remade, you know, period piece, making it her own, giving it such a fresh and modern feel, and just executing it to the 9th degree, you know, on her second feature. Her second feature, like, is just magnificent. And I think what she was able to provide with the script and the pacing of the dialogue and the shots she was able to come up with, the movie is beautiful. The set pieces are beautiful. Costumes are beautiful. Like, and obviously this is all reimagined in Greta's head, and you know, again, she was just able to execute it so well. You know, as I said in my tweet review, give me more of Greta Gerwig. Like, I love the performances, and we mentioned that, but you know, you don't get any of that without those words being written by Greta Gerwig. And like everything this movie is Greta Gerwig, and I think because of that, she easily wins it for me. You know, it's I don't know what else to say. I just yeah, I kind of felt a very similar thing to Lady Bird. Like, obviously performances through the roof, love them. Reason to rewatch this movie, obviously, just keep the performances in mind, but Greta just delivers, dude. Just honestly, just truly delivers, and I cannot wait. As I said in my tweet, like, sign me up for whatever she's got next. I need to see it. I want it. I'm anticipating it. I'll be excited for it, regardless of what it is. You know what I mean? I'm in. Like, she's got a fan. Like, straight up. Like, she's got a fan for sure. So I'd actually like to see her act some more too. But if it's gonna give me Ladybirds and Little Women's, like, then don't act anymore. You know what I mean? Because I also loved her in Frances Ha. But if not acting is going to give me Lady Birds and Little Women's, like keep giving me Lady Birds and Little Women's for sure. Like Greta's great. She's great. And I'm excited to see what she's got coming up next for sure. So here we are at the namesake of the podcast. The last question we ask every pod, that's cinema or that's not cinema. For Little Women, that's cinema, man. and I know that's the joke of every episode, but that's fucking cinema. Like that is cinema. as my boy Trey would say. Like that is cinema. Like, dude, that's it. Like that's I think Marty would approve of that being cinema for sure. I think Marty would be really, really happy with that. But yeah, Little Women is cinema for sure. And if you have not seen Little Women, go fucking see it. It's and even if you're, again, I'm a comic book loving black kid in South Florida. Like, go watch Little Women. like even if you feel like you're not the target audience, you feel like you're not even into, you know, period piece costume dramas, you feel like you don't want to see a movie about a bunch of fucking women, go watch Little Women, man. There's something in there for you, and just to watch a great fucking movie. Like, just go watch a great fucking movie. Like Little Women, and go see Lady Bird too. Like, see, she's got Greta Gerwig's got 2 movies. You need to watch both of them. Like, hands down. You need to see both of them. It's like, go see it. Go watch it. It's amazing. It's streaming everywhere now at this point. Especially during the quarantine. Like, what else do you have better to do other than to watch 2 phenomenal films? And Lady Bird and Little Women. Just go see it. Those are my final thoughts. As always, if a movie makes you feel anything at all, that's cinema. Peace.
Value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience. And it's not even. I was saying earlier, it's not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else. Not cinema. It's something else.